There are 4 steps for successfully using the Jackson Hole High School Fabrication Lab Epilog Helix laser. Choosing your material, preparing your artwork, setting up the machine, and printing your artwork. Step 1. Choosing your material. The Epilog Helix laser can cut a variety of materials such as matboard, cardboard, wood, plastics, acrylics, leather, and rubber. It is also able to engrave all of these materials as well as engrave certain types of metals, glass, and stone. It cannot, however, cut metal, glass, or stone. Many store-bought, pre-finished items can also be engraved, such as picture frames. It is strongly suggested that you test any item with the laser on an inconspicuous spot before cutting or engraving the primary area of your material. The following are common materials you can expect to use in the JHHS Fab Lab. Matboard and cardboard can both be cut and engraved. These are great low-cost materials for performing test cuts and engravings of your project before moving on to more expensive materials. Most wood up to 3/8 of an inch can be cut. This includes thin plywood and hardwoods like oak, walnut, cherry, or alder. When using plywood, be aware of any warping, as this can damage the laser if it strikes the warped area, or can cause incorrect focusing of the laser, resulting in a failed print. Pieces of wood thicker than 3/8 of an inch can only be engraved. Plastics. Certain types of plastics and acrylics can be both cut and engraved. However, do not use polycarbonate plastics, as these can create a residue that will damage the laser. If you are not sure the plastic you are using is polycarbonate, check with a Fab Lab instructor or technician before executing a print. Metal, like anodized aluminum, can be used for engraving only. Metals cannot be cut using the Epilog Helix laser. Polished metals will not work. They must first be stained or have an exterior coating. A variety of other materials can be used. Check with a Fab Lab instructor or technician for compatibility before cutting or engraving any material not specified in this video. Step 2. Preparing your artwork. The Epilog laser uses the terms raster printing and vector printing to determine whether it will engrave or cut your material. Raster printing will engrave your material, and vector printing will cut all the way through your material. Therefore, it is very important that you define the elements of your artwork that will be handled as raster artwork and the elements that will be handled as vector artwork. You will use the software CorelDRAW to define your raster and vector elements and prepare your artwork before sending your job to print. Raster printing or engraving refers to the process of burning away a thin layer of the surface from your material in a high-resolution dot matrix pattern. The depth of the engraving is based on the shade of color or grayscale of your artwork. Lighter colored pixels tell the Epilog laser to lower the power of the laser, creating shallow engravings. Darker pixels tell the Epilog laser to increase the laser power, resulting in deeper engravings. All artwork in CorelDRAW will be recognized by the Epilog laser, with the only exceptions being lines that have a stroke width set to hairline. This means that any artwork imported into CorelDRAW from programs like Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Photoshop will only be engraved unless specifically modified in CorelDRAW to enable cutting. Values for engraving speed and power must be adjusted according to the material you will be engraving. These settings can be found on the chart above the machine, as well as in the Epilog Helix Laser User's Manual. Vector printing or cutting is a continuous path that follows the outline or profile of an image. Vector cutting is normally used to cut completely through materials such as wood, acrylic, or paper. A vector cut will be performed on any line in your artwork that has a stroke width set to hairline. Values for engraving speed, power, and frequency must be adjusted according to the material you will be cutting. Again, these settings can be found on the chart above the machine, as well as in the Epilog Helix Laser's User's Manual. It is possible to both engrave and cut on a single workpiece. The laser will complete all engraving before it makes cuts. We will discuss how to do this in Step 4. Preparing artwork in CorelDRAW. CorelDRAW exists only on the 2 computers attached directly to the Epilog lasers. Because of this, you must first create your artwork in other graphics applications like Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop. Artwork created in either of these programs can be easily imported into CorelDRAW. To prepare your artwork in CorelDRAW, start by opening Corel from the Start menu. Select New Blank Document. Name your project by giving a short description of the print you will perform along with your last name. Adjust the size of the document to exactly match the dimensions of the material onto which you will print. For example, if you were printing an ID card, you would enter 3.5 inches wide and 2 inches high in CorelDRAW. This will create a workspace in CorelDRAW that will allow for precise alignment on your printing material. Rendering resolution can remain at 300 dpi. Hit OK to create your project. At this time, go ahead and save your file to your Z drive. You are now ready to import your artwork. Select File, Import, and navigate to the Illustrator or Photoshop file you have saved on your Z drive. If you are importing artwork into CorelDRAW that was created in Adobe Illustrator, you will want to complete the following checks before printing. Clean up all line art by deleting unwanted or duplicate layers. Adjust the color of the fills to control the depth for engraving. Next, set the stroke width for all your line art for cutting versus engraving. You will want to double-check all line art imported from Illustrator to make sure that the lines you want engraved have width set to 0.5 or greater, and lines that you want to have cut have width set to hairline. If your line widths are set incorrectly, it may result in undesired holes being cut in your material. To set properties of a line, click on a line with your selection tool. Choose Object Properties from the window menu if it is not already on screen. From here you can adjust the color and width of a line. When importing bitmap artwork into CorelDRAW, you will want to complete the following steps to prepare it for engraving. First, resample the image by selecting it. Go to the bitmap menu and choose Resample. Set the sample rate to be evenly divisible by 600. It is helpful to make your image black and white to get an idea of how deep the laser will be engraving in your surface. Remember, dark areas of your artwork will engrave deeper than light areas. To desaturate the image, go to the Effects menu, choose Adjust, Desaturate. Then, adjust the brightness and contrast of the image to further control the light and dark areas by clicking the Bitmap menu, choosing Image Adjustment Lab, and adjusting your settings. Finally, depending on the material you are using, you may need to invert the image to create an accurate engraving. A good rule of thumb is that if the surface or coating of a material is darker than the material that is exposed after engraving it, you should invert your artwork. To invert, select Effects, Transform, and Invert. Now that you have prepared your artwork in CorelDRAW, save your project. You are now ready to set up the machine for printing. Step 3. Setting up the machine. Turn on the Epilog Helix laser using the switch located on the left side of the machine. Make sure there are no materials inside the machine. If a material is present, carefully remove the material before proceeding. Once the machine is empty, you can lower the bed. Press the focus button, then use the down arrow key to lower the bed. Lower the bed to allow at least 2 to 3 inches of space from the top of the material to which you are going to print. Press Reset to move the laser back to the origin. Now select the appropriate printing bed. The task plate is used for jobs that do not include cuts, only engravings. The vector grid must be used for any project that requires cutting. To install the task plate or vector grid, lift the table guides by pressing on the black backstops. Gently remove or insert trays by grasping the vector grid or the task plate in the middle and lifting it out of the machine. There are slots and finger grips that make removal and installation easy. Place the unused tray in the storage racks underneath the machine. Gently place the desired tray in the machine and lower the table guides. Insert the material you will be using. If this is your first attempt at printing your artwork, it is a good idea to use a low-cost material such as cardboard or mat board to perform a test print before using a more expensive material like aluminum. Position your material in the top right corner of the machine bed. Use the table guides to check your alignment. With your materials in place, you must now focus the laser to ensure a successful print. To do this, press the focus button to move the laser out above your material. Install the focus guide by flipping it down. Raise or lower the machine bed using the arrows on the control panel until the material just comes in contact with the focus guide. Flip the focus guide back up. and press Reset to move the laser back to the machine's origin. Now, turn on the ventilation unit and adjust the vents to ensure proper evacuation of smoke and fumes. The knobs on the hoses close or open the airflow from each machine. When the knob is horizontal, the air will flow freely from the machine, evacuating smoke and fumes. When the knob is vertical, airflow is restricted from the machine and smoke and fumes will not be properly evacuated. If only using one machine, close off the vent to the other machine to increase suction and prevent fumes from flowing back into the unused machine. Finally, turn on the blower. This will help extinguish any small fires that may occur when cutting or engraving combustible materials like paper or wood. With the laser properly focused and the ventilation systems turned on, you are now ready to print your artwork. Step 4. Printing your artwork. When printing any artwork, it is good practice to first perform a series of test prints. The first test print will use just a laser pointer. Then the second print will use a low-cost material like cardboard or mapboard. To perform these test prints, start by choosing File, Print. Select the Epilog laser from the printer dropdown. Click Preferences. This will take you into the Epilog dashboard. The dashboard is the print driver that allows you to set laser functions from your computer and is the link that prints your data or images from your computer to your laser system. Start by setting the resolution to 600. Then select your job type. A raster print will only perform engraving. You cannot cut from this mode, no matter how your artwork has been prepared. Vector printing will only cut. You cannot engrave from this mode. Combined will engrave and cut depending on how you have prepared your artwork. All artwork, with the exception of lines with a stroke width set to hairline, will be engraved. Lines set to hairline will be cut. The laser will perform all engraving prior to making cuts. Once you have chosen a job type, you must adjust the laser's power and speed settings for the material you are printing to. Failure to do so will result in a failed print. Reference the chart above the laser cutters or the user's manual for the correct engraving or cutting settings for your material. For raster engraving, set the speed and power according to the chart. Set the engrave direction to top down unless you are engraving acrylic. For acrylic, use bottom up. Set the image dithering to Jarvis or Stucci. For vector cutting, set the speed, power, and frequency according to the chart. Make sure vector sorting is selected and set to optimize. The last and most important step is to adjust the piece size settings to exactly match the dimensions of your CorelDRAW document, which should also match the dimensions of the material you are printing to. You must adjust the piece size to match your document size, or the project will print incorrectly. Options can be left alone. Once your dashboard settings have all been adjusted, select OK. Then click Print. This will send your job to the machine's printing queue. You should now see the file name of your artwork on the machine's LCD screen. At this point, you want to leave the door of the machine raised. This will allow you to perform a test print using only the laser pointer to check that the print is set up correctly. Turn on the laser pointer by pushing the pointer button on the laser system's control panel. Select your file name in the job queue on the machine using the up or down arrow keys on the control panel. Then press Go. Watch the laser pointer. If it looks like it is printing in the correct place on your material, go ahead and press Stop, Reset, and turn off the pointer. If it does not look like it is printing correctly, you will have to recheck your dashboard settings and resend the print job. If you are satisfied with the laser pointer results, proceed with your second test print using a low-cost material. Close the lid. Select your file name from the job queue again, and press Go. Whenever you are performing an actual print, you must watch the laser to ensure you do not start a fire and that any fumes or smoke are being properly evacuated. When your print is finished, press the focus button and lower the bed using the arrow buttons. Raise the lid and remove your material. If you are satisfied with the results of your test prints, you are ready to perform a final print with a higher quality material. Insert the final print material. Refocus the laser. Then, from CorelDRAW, send the job to print again. Adjust the Epilog dashboard settings for the new material you are printing to. Double-check that the dimensions of the print match the dimensions of the new material. Click OK. Click Print to send your new print settings to the machine's job queue. Select the file. Typically, this is the highest job number in the queue. Press Go, and watch your print for errors. When the print is finished, press focus and lower the bed using the arrow keys on the control panel. Lift the lid and remove your material. If you have any questions or if any problems arise that are not covered in this video, locate a Jackson Hole High School Fab Lab instructor or technician for support.